I know we talked about it a little bit about kind of like the behavior in the stands, and this is going to go back to the perspective thing, right? Is being able to keep perspective. The refs is one example of the being able to keep perspective as a parent when you're watching. But I remember I played with a kid, and his mom in the stands was mental, like to the point where his dad wouldn't ever sit with his mom or be near his mom during the games because she would lose it. Like there'd be fights. It was crazy. And right up until I played with him in university too, right? And she's a great lady too. Like she's a family friend, like awesome person, but just in the heat of the game, like she just gets going, you know? And I think it's important that when parents are watching, they're able to, especially at certain levels, it's like you got to be able to see the level for what it is, you know? So maybe we can stick on the kind of the parenting behavior in the stands and that kind of thing during the game, if you want to throw some thoughts on that.
Yeah, like here's the thing, man. It's again, you're around other people. You don't know who these people are or who they're going to be. And
Yeah,
I've said this
seriously.
to my players too, right? Like, because like around here we have the two teams that compete, like the two AAA teams. It's Windsor and Sun County, and they hate each other.
Yeah.
When I coached in Detroit, I had a camp, and there was a lot of bell tire, honey baked, and Compuware kids. Yeah. And I said, okay, we'll do this. This is it. And they were fuming with me because they hated each other. Bell tires with bell tire. And I think you might have been at that one, or I know they were younger than you. But anyways, and I told the kids when they go into junior, I said, "It's guys, I know you hate each other's guts, but I said I want you to watch my junior skate or my pro skate. What happens is this guy, you might be a teammate one day in 2 years. 3 years.
I say that all the time to our guys.
There's a chance that if you're good enough that you might be a teammate, and then you're gonna have to train with each other because." If you're gonna be only a few people at every age group that get to move on to another level, so whatever. So it's the same with the parents. People are around. You never know who it's going to be, and that parent might end up being on the same. If your kid's really good, they might be on the Team Canada together. You might be on, the Owen Sound Attack together. Whatever. That might be a thing. You get to know each other, and you want to be remembered as the guy that lost their shit, and that was an idiot because stay away from me, or you have to apologize for life.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other thing is that, they're kids, man. They're kids. Like in youth hockey, they're kids. So I remember obviously very clearly because it would happen to me. I was I tried to stay away from people. And I did that because I didn't want to hear everybody's analysis, play-by-play of the game. I remember one of the dads said if he would just go in front of the net and they would pass it to him, they'd score all the time. And I said, yeah, for sure. That's how hockey works. It's that simple, right? Mm-hmm. But so I didn't want to hear that stuff, but I didn't want to hear people losing their minds. So I'd go by myself. So one game, Charlie was playing, and the game before he took a knee, and he had to leave the game later in the game, but then he was good for the next game. So he was angry. He was like bitter. You know what Charlie is. Mm-hmm. So a kid was coming down. He was kind of hooking and stuff. So Charlie turned around and he pitchforked him. And I mean, he should have got life. No question about it. Like I said it to my wife. I said, "Oh, he's done." But the refs gave him a 5-minute for whatever reason. The guy beside me was standing about 10 feet beside me, started yelling how he's an asshole, what an asshole kid, and all this stuff. So I try to keep my calm. So I let him do it a couple of times, and then I said, "Hey, dude." So that's my kid. I said, "Just no more." So he goes, "Yeah, but this," and he kept going. I said, "Dude, that's enough." So I think he was like kind of backed off a little bit. And I told him, I said, "That's the nicest kid you're ever going to meet." I said, "He's mean on the ice, but he's the nicest kid." I said, "Easy." So that was the end of that. But it's like, I don't like that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, not because it was my kid. It's like, you sit there and call a kid an asshole. Or how about when the call goes, like it's a kid. You don't know anything about them. It's a kid. And why are you so involved in that? And now the next thing is it's their sport. It's their game. It's their emotions. You have no business freaking out and getting all emotional and yelling at people. It's their game. It's their emotions. It's out of your control again. Mm-hmm. So, the other thing is when you'll see a parent losing it when their team gets hit, let's say, or get a bad call. But if it goes the other way, they're cheering.
Yeah. So
makes no sense, man.
So let's I'm going to pull that apart a little bit. So I like that example because it's a dirty play. That's why I like this example, the one where Charlie spears the guy, right? Because this is like
I'm the first one, and I was there.
Right
on the second. I said, "Oh, there's life."
Right, but
going to prison.
But this is a good example because it's the extreme, right? Because anything less than this, like if we can rationalize the extreme example, then anything less than this is even more nonsense. So if you're a grown adult, so you're between the ages of 30 and 50, and you're watching, or older, and you're watching a kid's game, and in the heat of a game, a kid spears somebody. Okay. Now, should the kid have done that? No, he shouldn't have. Was the kid's intention to try to hurt the kid? Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe. Let's say maybe.
Yeah, maybe not. For the most part, kids that are on the ice, I remember as a player, nobody wants to see anybody actually be hurt for a long time, right? So even if in the moment it's like, I want to hurt this guy, if the kid actually ends up being hurt, nobody likes that. On either team, you might get the odd nutcase that likes that. But for the most part, the 99% again, we're not trying to make anyone hurt for a period of time. You might want to give them a stinger or something that is painful for a second, but if anyone's actually hurt, none of the players want that. So if I'm a dad watching and I see a kid pitchfork a guy, and my reaction to that is to cuss out a 14 or 15-year-old from the stands with a bunch of other grown adults near me, then we need to stop and do some analysis on our behavior as a grown-up. Okay? If you were to be walking through Walmart and a kid knocked over a shelf and something exploded and spilt on you because they knocked it over, and you sat in Walmart screaming at a 15-year-old because he knocked something over in Walmart or made a mistake, what would happen? Because this is a similar situation to that, right? So as a grown-up, you're screaming at a minor because of his on-ice behavior that in the heat of the moment happens. Stuff like that happens, right? So not to mention the fact that you don't know if his dad is right next to you. You don't know if there's, like you made this point yesterday when we were talking about it, if there's a police officer standing 2 people over from you. You don't know what's going on around you. So you have to have some self-awareness because
you don't know if someone's sitting there with a camera and is going to put it on Facebook.
Exactly, right? This is how you get these viral videos, right? So, and I'm sure that most people that are there, most of the parents, they're reasonable, but they just get caught up. So if you can review your behavior, if you saw another parent doing what you're doing, is that actually a reasonable thing to be doing in the stands at a kids hockey game, right? We do the same thing at the OHL games or at the NHL games. You have like some drunk 40-year-old in the stands screaming at Dylan Larkin on the Detroit Red Wings because he's just so mad. And it's like, dude, like it's just not the way that you behave in functional society. So why is it okay for you to do it in this environment at a youth hockey game? It's not. So I'm hoping, and that's in the extreme when a kid pitchforks a guy, and we see people explode about things way less, potentially damaging than that, right? So it's something as parents, because we see it every single game I go to. You got two or three,
and what you're actually explaining is essentially the reaction that the parents have is the exact same reaction that the kid just had. Right. He's responding no differently. Yeah. Kid was frustrated or lost it. My kid at that point lost it, or he just had enough and he just pitchforked him. And then that parent, his reaction was pitchfork him in a different way. And you're yelling at him for being an asshole, but it's actually now you're the asshole.
Right.
You're the asshole.
Because at least he can say I'm a kid.
I'm a kid. I'm playing the game.
I'm in the game.
And no, that pitchfork, I don't have a problem with the parents going, ref, ref, look what they missed. And like, come on, like losing at the ref a little bit because someone appeared to be in a little bit of pain.
Yeah.
From the nuts up.
Yeah.
but there's a reasonable amount.
Yeah.
Right. And like, did you see that call? Like that's reasonable. But to yell at a kid, come on, man.
Yeah. Take it out on the kid.
Yeah. It's like they're just kids, and they're the ones that are playing.
Yeah. Yeah. So that happens. It's so funny too. Like even that class that I trained in here, the one class is a grade 8, and they're a rowdy group. And you would not believe like the way the teachers talk about the kid. Like, and hey, I know. I'm all for like some kids are a pain in the ass, man. Like I totally understand, but at the end of the day, they're kids.
And
like
you chose this job.
You chose the job, but they're kids, and some of like the things that they say about them, or like, oh, like these kids they're such assholes, or like this kid is this word, or this kid is this. I'm not gonna go into the details of the words they say, but it's like, dude, they're kids. I understand like to a certain degree the annoyance. I can but like you're saying, there's a reasonable degree. There's a reasonable degree, because at the end of the day you have to be able to keep the perspective that we're talking about kids right now, you know?